Hi there, welcome to Homekeepers. Hey, come right on in, my friend. So glad to be with you today, and I like to always welcome you, whether you're regular or whether you're brand new. We appreciate you, and I just have a sense that you're very interested in homekeeping. You wonder where the name came from? Actually, it came from one version of the Bible, Titus, the 5th chapter, that says that the women should be keepers at home. And I know that flies in the face of a lot of culture today, but it's really the best plan. I believe that. And if you watched the last program, I had a wonderful gal here by the name of Jamie Sumner, and she gave us the story of her, fierce fight to become a mother. She'd written a book about it. And what she put her body through with all the in vitro fertilization and everything else that they did, amazing, amazing story. And finally became pregnant, and the child was born with a very serious disabling factor in his life. And I mean, her story kind of kept you on pins and needles. So when we were finished, I knew we hadn't completed the story. So I said, could you stay and we'll talk a little while longer and we'll make it a two-parter. So that's what we're doing today. This is the second part of the story by Jamie Sumner, one of the sweetest, most endearing, wonderful stories we've ever had on this program. So that was just a little recap, but you'll hear some really wonderful, wonderful things about what God has done since in their home. So she's my guest today, and I'm going to join Stephanie to make toasted ravioli puffs. I don't need to say anything else. You know that's good. And we're going to dip them in marinara. So before I join her, though, I want to offer you something we've offered before, but we keep getting orders for it. It's very important how to study the Bible. There are ways and means that you can get a lot more out of your Bible study. And this little book just gives you just the basic, practical way to get more accomplished in less time and much more understanding. So we're offering you this little book for any gift you send to the program. You can use your credit stuff, you know, your debit, credit, all that, by calling 1-800-229-0059 or write to us at Homekeepers, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. And I would like to add that you have no idea how much your sweet notes and comments mean to us. I get them sometimes and I forward them to Stephanie and to Wanda. We appreciate it from the very bottom of our hearts. Believe me on that. So thank you for being so thoughtful to do that. And if you don't have this book, I hope you'll get it, because the Word of God is inexhaustible. This is going to help you to seek it out a little bit better. And I'm here with Stephanie. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
She just said she could eat a whole row now.
I haven't eaten yet today. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm starving. Okay.
And I wonder if I'm safe. We get here early, and you know, if I haven't had my tea and she hasn't had her coffee, it could get violent.
Yes,
maybe.
I did have coffee this morning, so no one's going to.
Well, this is so easy. Can I just insert something?
Yes.
We'll get to this
Your
second.
show.
Okay. My daughter and her family went on a missionary trip, and she took her 2 sons, and it's in Central America somewhere. Some places are pretty violent and not exactly the places you go for a vacation. But I've got a picture of my grandsons on the mission field. Look at them.
I love it. I love it. Look at those. Look at that little boy.
Those boys helped build 3 houses, and a house in that area is a concrete floor slab. Concrete is mixed by hand, tin walls, and also a tin roof, and they are thrilled to get it.
And it's amazing they have concrete floors, because sometimes they don't even get that.
Yeah, it's just dirt. Yeah, this is definitely an upgrade. But when Caleb, the one on the right, I met him for lunch after they got in, and he actually got tears in his eyes about a little kid that really bonded to him and just stuck with him. I wonder if that's him. I don't know, but anyway, it brings tears to my eyes to see how poor people are, and so thankful that my family could be part of it.
Yes.
I think that was if you have a bucket list, I think that was my daughter's bucket list to get the whole family, because she's always going on the mission field.
Yeah.
All right, let's make these. We don't have much time.
Okay, so these are cheese raviolis. We boiled them just like you're supposed to on the package directions. We drained them and then we stuck them on a pan. I have Italian dressing. Here, you want to just paint them with Italian dressing?
Okay.
I have a tablespoon of grated Parmesan cheese and I have a tablespoon of panko crumbs. This is just about kicking up your little, treats up a notch.
This is everything you could keep in your kitchen all the time.
So that's Italian dressing. That'll add a little kick. And then this will add a little crunch. And then you simply bake them for 12 to 15 minutes at 400 degrees. That's it. That's it.
You want to see something absolutely beautiful.
And then you have some marinara sauce when you bring them out. These are great party hors d'oeuvres, finger foods.
And
we have things like this at our Christmas party, so that's what it reminds me of.
And we go to a place that they really serve a lot of great hors d'oeuvres, and they include this one.
So we have forks.
And then I use my fingers.
I know.
Yeah. And you dip them in marinara.
Yes. I'm going to have to use my fingers.
Oh, my. You're a hungry girl. You take as many as you want.
I'm starving. So good.
I don't think we've done anything this easy. And if you
easy.
Got teenagers.
I'm a texture eater, so that crunch is perfect. Very good.
Very, very good.
It's a good one.
I can see taking these out by the pool, whatever you do.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, these could be in your freezer, and these are absolutely, staples that you have.
Yeah.
So they're called, what are they called?
Toasted ravioli puffs.
Toasted ravioli puffs. And if you want them, if you want the recipes absolutely free, information is coming up on your screen. One way, the best way is to email, but there are other ways, and you'll hear about that. Now stay, and you will hear the leftover interview that I made with Jamie. You're going to love her if you didn't see her on the last program. Here it is.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, you may receive it by contacting us through social media as listed on the screen. When requesting a copy through the mail, be sure to include a self-addressed stamped envelope. Thank you, and please know we always appreciate hearing from our viewers.
Well, if you were with me yesterday, you know that I was interviewing Jamie Sumner, and I asked her if she'd just hang around and talk to me a little bit longer because we covered about half of her story. So thank you for staying, and recap a little bit for the viewers maybe that didn't see the program. You married the love of your life and wanted to have children, and no children came, first 2 or 3 years, so you began to get serious about it and got to the point where you had in vitro fertilization. And I think before we stopped talking that you had 26 embryos.
Eggs. And 9 embryos came
so,
from that.
So they take the egg and they introduce it to the sperm, and then whatever comes out of that.
Yep.
Okay. And we also talked about a really, to me, scary, tremendous toll it took on your own body. It seemed to me like you had your, I'm going to be a mother, so nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah.
So finally, you are pregnant. And did you ever have a sense of just kind of sighing, letting the air out, okay, I've got one and it's going to grow and we're going to have a baby? When did you feel confident? Because you'd had one miscarriage.
I did. I felt kind of after probably our second ultrasound, it was right around Christmas time, and it's Christmas cheer, and everything is festive, and the kids I teach high school, the kids are crazy in a good way, and I was like fully settling into being pregnant. I felt good. I wasn't sick during that time, and I really felt like, oh, this is happening. I'm gonna be a mom to this little person. And not that long after that, January, is when we had our anatomy scan and found out he was gonna be a boy. So we already had a name. We knew
Okay,
all of it.
You're educating me.
Yeah.
An anatomy scan.
Yeah. It's like where they do the ultrasound and they look and make sure the spine's good, the face, everything is where it should be, and then they tell you the gender if you want to find out, and we did
So everything was going good.
at that point.
And as we mentioned earlier, the child was born very disabled. At what point in the pregnancy did you find that out?
So you're supposed to typically find that out if there's anything genetically altered at the anatomy scan, but they didn't see anything. And then when I went back for this is another one, the gestational diabetes test, or you have to drink the sugary drink to find out if you have gestational diabetes or not. They thought I was supposed to be there for an ultrasound too. It wasn't supposed to happen. And so they took me back and for my accidental ultrasound, and then they noticed some things about Charlie, we'd already named him Charlie, that were not measuring correctly. That made them look twice. And so that day I was referred to a specialist, and they did an amniocentesis, and they sent it off to the Mayo Clinic.
That's where they take some fluid, right?
Yes. And then we waited and waited while we didn't know what was going on, and they gave us all these possibilities. He could have a heart condition, possibly Down syndrome, possibly 5 other syndromes. We just don't know.
But the message was something's wrong.
Right, something is not okay here. Right after I had just been so excited that we were pregnant, and I was still excited that we were pregnant, but now all of a sudden I was scared for this little person who was safe right now, but I didn't know what it would be like for him when he came. So that was a very scary, terrifying time for
Okay, you're
us.
going to tell us all about it. I want to remind the viewers, though, about her book. It's called Unbound, and we're going to keep the website on the screen. You can order it through that. This is a wonderful book. I read a lot of books. This gal is a good writer, but also every stage of this time of her life that she went through, she found a correlation in the scripture about whether it was Mary or Hannah or any of the mothers in the Bible. You will really love this. And before we go on to Charlie, what was it that kind of made you think, oh, what I'm going through is kind of a parallel to one of these ladies in the Bible?
I would say it did not happen until much later. I think it was the hindsight once we had gotten past Charlie's initial hard infancy, and when I then later, spoiler alert, had twins. Once our family was kind of growing a little bit older, when I really started to have enough distance to be able to reflect on everything.
And to even write about it.
Right. That's when it kind of, writing the book turned into my devotional, because I would read my Bible and I would write. And these women are so like us and so unconventional. It's incredible the things they went through.
Yeah, you humanized them.
Yeah.
I think we look at Bible characters as oversized. And that's why I really think you would appreciate this book so much. So you got the message that something was wrong. What was the result from the amniocentesis?
So we got the call. I was 30 weeks pregnant. We got the call. I still remember this. I was eating spicy seasoned fries, sitting on the couch because I'd been put on bed rest. And my husband had come home. Jody had come home and brought food. And I got the call from the Mayo Clinic to tell us that he had something called Beckwith Wiedemann syndrome.
Never, ever heard of that till I read it.
Nobody knows what
Beckwith
Nobody
what?
can spell it either. Beckwith Wiedemann syndrome. BWS is what it's called. And it's basically an overgrowth syndrome. It affects how fat, the pituitary glands, how fast a child grows. It makes them at greater risk for certain tumors. And in Charlie in particular, he, we would find out later, was born with an enlarged tongue, which means he couldn't breathe on his own.
Is that part of the syndrome?
Yes, that's part of the characteristics of the syndrome. And he couldn't breathe or eat safely. And we eventually we brought him home with a tracheotomy. So he had a trach right here for the first 1.5 years of his life before he kind of grew. He had tongue surgery, but then he also just kind of grew into his tongue.
What is tongue? I mean, how big was his tongue?
I mean, he could close his mouth with it. It's just that it was so thick back here that it blocked his airway. And it just, I mean, he would be okay on his own in the NICU, and then he would get tired out, and he couldn't fight that tongue all the time. And eat and grow like he should, it was just too hard of work for him in the beginning.
After all you'd been through and you brought this baby home with a trach, what'd you say to God?
Well, first, we got the call from the Mayo Clinic, and that afternoon I went into labor at 30 weeks. So he was born at 30 weeks. So then all I thought to myself after we got the call was, at least I have 10 more weeks to keep him safe, and think and process about all of this. And then I went into labor that night. My husband left for a hockey game, and he turned around. He got off the interstate, and then he's like, I just don't feel right leaving her. And he turned around and came home, and I was in labor. So that was fast. And then all that time in the NICU, he spent 10 weeks in the NICU while we were trying to figure out if he would need a trach or not. And then in the NICU too, we got a second diagnosis that he had some brain damage somewhere in there, and would most likely have cerebral palsy. So it was a double, triple, whatever whammy we were on. It was just it was a lot. It was a lot. And then we brought him home. But the funniest part about all of this is that Charlie is amazing. I mean, he is the sweetest, cutest, little, beautiful kid in the world. And even though all this hard stuff was happening, the mom gene kicked in, and everything about the situation, even though it was really hard, it was like, Charlie's here, You
weren't mad at God.
Okay, no, I can't say that, because when we got the diagnosis of probably cerebral palsy, I just lost it, because I had already fallen in love with Charlie. And then to think that not only would he have this one diagnosis to fight, he would now have a second diagnosis to fight that could potentially affect every part of him. It wasn't just physical growth, it was speech, it was learning, it was everything, and we wouldn't know what that would look like. And I was angry for Charlie. That was the first time I was angry for Charlie. And
But
yeah.
From what you said, Charlie's always been pretty happy. We do have a picture of him.
Yeah.
And we're going to put it up on the screen for you, and I can understand why you fell in love with Charlie immediately. He is a beautiful little boy. Beautiful. How old is he today?
He's 6.
And does he go to any kind of a school or?
He goes to a special needs inclusive preschool. So there's other kids with special needs and also regularly, normally developing typical kids there. He's gone there since he was 2, a little bit.
Is he learning? What can he learn? What's his capability?
He is super smart. So he's almost nonverbal, so he doesn't talk a lot. He has a speaking device that we're working on using, and he does some sign language. And when in doubt, I just say, do you want Cheerios or raisins? And he hits the hand. Or do you want to read a book or watch a video? And he hits the hand, because he can understand everything you're saying. He just can't express it. And he can read, which I found out, through flashcards, because how do you figure out a kid can read when he can't say?
And how does he respond to the flashcards?
I just, because I'm a teacher, I went to the learning store and got the flashcards with just basic words on them, and I would lay them on his tray, and I would just say, point to the word flash or point to the word bike, and it didn't have any symbols or any clues on there.
Just the words.
And he could point to them. And then we, had books, and he would read the books, scan the pages, and it's just.
Well, as I said, you've certainly educated me, and I'm sure the viewers have come along. How old was Charlie when you remembered you had 5 more?
I had 7 more.
7 more
embryos. Mm-hmm.
And you decided to have 2 of them implanted, and both of them took.
Well, we had 2. We did a transfer, and it didn't work. We had 2, and we transferred 2, and I didn't get pregnant. And then we did another one, and then I got pregnant with twins. So.
Are they identical?
No.
No.
We transferred 2 embryos, and I had a boy and a girl, Cora and Jonas, who are now 4. So I have not had a single normal moment to any of my motherhood or pregnancy.
No, that would be foreign to you. So Charlie is what, 6, and the twins are
4.
Okay, how do
It's a zoo.
the twins probably adore him? How do they relate to him? Kids are so natural. They can go into a circumstance that we're going like this.
Right.
They just walk right into it and make it work.
The twins, they're great at anticipating Charlie's needs, or let's say I'm in the other room and I can't see him and Charlie's trying to signal to things. They'll go run, bring him a book, or I think Charlie wants more snacks, which usually means they want more snacks, but you know, they're very good at looking out for him, and they kind of have taken on that role. And kids in general at Charlie's age and younger, in elementary school really, are very good at being inclusive with kids like Charlie.
Yes.
They want to help with the wheelchair, you know, they want to push him in his wheelchair. They want to play catch with Charlie, which means Charlie gets to throw the ball wherever he wants, and then a pack of kids goes and runs and fetches it and brings it back to him.
It's a beautiful education, really. It's very touching. Now, how does Charlie respond to them?
So he's interesting. He loves most adults, like because you know kids can sometimes come on too strong and too fast and too hard, but the twins he adores. Like literally, I will be scratching Charlie's head because he loves it, and Cora will lay in my lap, and then Charlie will scratch Cora's head, and then Jonas will come in from behind and throw everybody a hug. And so they're very good at interacting with each other, and Charlie has made some really special friends at his school because he's been there for so long that, I mean, his birthday party this year, almost the entire class showed up to celebrate him. And they know how to walk up to him. They know how to go, Charlie, high five, and then wait for it and not get too close to him, and all of these. It's just...
Children could teach us a lot.
Yeah.
Really. We're almost out of time again, but I want you to get this book. It's called Unbound by my guest, Jamie Sumner, and we've had her website up. I encourage you to get it. Got a couple minutes. I want to talk to you. Your story just is absolutely amazing, and probably you don't think of that much because you lived it, but for the rest of us, kind of leaves us breathless. I think of the song that Andre Crouch wrote, Through It All, and one of the verses goes, I thank God for the mountains, thank him for the valleys, I thank him for the storms he's brought me through, because if I never had a problem, I'd never know that he could solve them. I'd never learn what faith in God could do. And Jamie, you've lived a life that's very singular. I don't know, maybe in the whole wide world if anybody's lived one quite like it. How has this changed your viewpoint of God from when you were this new bride and your whole life was ahead of you with your love of your life and all?
I think it's given me a longer view of God, the long view, the wide lens, a little bit more than I had before. I think I tend to be a person that lives moment to moment as far as how my emotions kind of lead me. It's just how I was wired. But I think seeing how rich Jody and I's lives are because of our kids, and because of all the things that we went through to get them, and because of exactly how they were created to be. I mean, Charlie is exactly how he should be, and I wouldn't wish him to have to go through the hard things he has to go through and for it to be harder for him in some areas, but his personality and his spirit is so just God-given that I can see now, past tense, can see all that the good that was working over on my heart. I think I'm a better mom to them because of it.
I am so thankful that the Lord sent you to us, and for your story. God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Stay with us. I have a couple things to say before we have to say goodbye.
Arthelene would like you to keep the following information handy. You may contact Homekeepers by writing to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758, or go to www.rippy.org. Remember, we always enjoy hearing from our viewers, and we thank you for your support.
Let me remind you again that we were offering you a little booklet with a lot of great information in it on how to study the Bible. Sometimes people get a hold of the scriptures and they're overwhelmed by just the amount of information in both the Old and New Testament and the way the two correlate. But there are shortcuts to really learning those things, and for any gift at all to this ministry, I'd like to send you this little book, and I think it will help you an awful lot in your search to know the Lord better through the scriptures. So the number is on the screen if you use a credit card. That's 1-800-229-0059. Also, the address is there, and take advantage of that, and we'll be glad to send it out to you. I think you could tell that I was quite impressed with Jamie Sumner, and if it were in my power to choose the Mother of the Year, I would choose her. I look back at my own experience with childbirth. I have 2 children, and certainly no problems with the pregnancies. My son was born in a really, really bad condition, and they didn't think he would make it, but he did make it, and he's had some physical issues, but he's been a pastor in Montgomery, Alabama for 26 years. So I can't really relate to Jamie and everything she went through. Only just reinforces that strong sense of motherhood that's in most women, I believe. And the price that she paid to bring these children into the world. And what's come of it? A wonderful story that we can share with you today about God's faithfulness through the most difficult times. I thought about Jamie and thought, I wonder if I would go through all of that in order to have a child. And I don't know. I haven't been faced with it, but she was. But I do know that the moment that child is placed in your arms, you know exactly what something very akin to the love of God is. I remember when my daughter's first son was born, and they put it in her arms, and I whispered in her ear, "You just met someone you'd die for." And she looked at me like, I know. So I appreciate so much when the world is so sold out to abortion and there's a lot of neglect to children. It's wonderful to bring you these kind of stories that are so close to the heart of God. Please join me next time, remembering no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.